Did he use his love
We dated 1 year.
to rip her off?
I put food in his house, gas in his car.
You sound like a mommy.
I am a mommy.
Not his
He's
mommy.
not heavy.
He's my brother. My adult naked brother.
Go to Swift Justice Special Investigator Art Harris.
Hello, Art. What
Hey,
did you
Nancy.
learn, if anything?
Well, the question here, Nancy, did she fall in love with a ripoff Romeo? And was Mr. Harris an opportunist or someone who was preying on a lonely woman? Now, conveniently or luckily, he falls in love. They meet the same month, December '08, that he files for bankruptcy.
It's funny how love works that way, isn't it?
It does. And lucky for him, he did start dating a woman with a deep pocketbook. So December '08, I don't believe he told her he was filing for bankruptcy, but we...
Did you know he was filing for bankruptcy?
Absolutely not.
When did you learn that?
Just now.
Versus Harris. Was it the non-payment of a $5,000 loan or her boyfriend's naked brother that drove a woman from her home?
Why didn't you tell anybody about the bankruptcy? Telling her you were going to pay her back when you had already filed bankruptcy. Don't you think that's
My
something
debt
she
to
should
her
know?
was not part of the bankruptcy.
But don't you
Never
think
was.
she should know that?
Well, Nancy, it's a little more detailed than that.
Oh, tell me.
We pull the records, we see that he has filed this bankruptcy, only he doesn't go through with it. It is dismissed because he doesn't file a payback schedule. He doesn't comply with the federal bankruptcy.
Doesn't file a payback schedule. That's starting to be an echo, not saying when he's going to pay somebody back. Go ahead, Art.
Well, so that one is dismissed. Meanwhile, her father is very ill, and about the time that he is dying, I believe, he asked to borrow $2,500, Nancy. She writes him a check. He tells her he needs it in 4 days, that he's got to pay lawyers to save his house. And the funny thing is, on May 4th, when he told her he needed it, he filed his second bankruptcy. And I also got a list of the creditors that he
I
had.
bet you thought he was at work that day. He was down at bankruptcy court.
Well, on the list of creditors, there are a dozen banks or mortgage companies, and I don't see Mrs. Robinson's name there. So it raises questions whether he intended to pay her back at all. Now, at that point, he had not written the promissory note, but the bankruptcy carried forward until it was dismissed later in the summer in August, I believe, because he didn't file a payback schedule for that
Again?
either. Right. So we were very interested in his businesses, and we looked them up with the Georgia Secretary of
I
State.
bet you were.
Well, in this case, we found that his 3 companies that I could find, they were all dissolved this year, and his surety company was in limbo and in non-compliance in April of 2010. But he also led Mrs. Robinson to believe that he had a big office building. She asked him, do you have 100 suites? Because in his address, it lists 106 to, I believe, 239. So we looked at the address, Nancy, and we drove out to his office. And I believe we have photos, you have photos that I took in the parking lot. It does have more than, well, it does have more than 100 offices in there, but they are mailboxes, Nancy. And
So that's your office?
That's my office
And-
address.
we were also curious, Nancy, about his intentions again. Was he going to pay her back? So we looked at some of the emails between them, and we were very interested to note that in his first request for funds, he signs it Love Dave, and he addresses her as Babe. Well, in the last emails, Nancy, he signs them sincerely and signs it just plain Dave.
You don't miss a thing, do you, Art Harris?
That's what you got me doing, Nancy. I try not to.
It's a blessing and a curse. Thank you, Art.